And we're back. That means it's time to look at the rest of the book, which is those 5 detachments. That
we could say 6 if we want to look at Grotmas at the very end.
Yeah, but we've already kind of spoiled the fact that there's really not much point taking the Grotmas detachment anymore, because you already have most of it built into the unit as well. But yeah, we've got 5 detachments, and I think all these do a pretty decent job of kind of defining particular styles of play, which is something we always want to see in detachments. But there's, as always, one that's just generally useful, and that is, we're going to start off with the Need Guard Oathband. And it's Need Guard, but we decided to replace the U with an A with a little hat. So it's the Need Guard Oathband. A very simple detachment rule. Every time you destroy an enemy unit, you gain a yield point.
Yeah, that's simple.
That's simple, solid.
Kill things, get to fortify faster.
Yeah, you are going to get into fortify very quickly if you're successful at killing things, and you've definitely got the means to kill some things in this army. As far as your enhancements, all of these are Leagues of Votann model only. They're not locked to a particular character. So, starting off with Oathbound Speculator. Every time a model in the bear's unit makes an attack, reroll wound rolls of 1. That's always generally useful. Each time the bear's unit is selected to shoot or fight, you can spend up to 3, or you can spend 3 yield points. So just not up to, just spend 3 yield points right away. If you do, until the end of the phase, you add 1 to the wound roll as well.
That's good.
That's good, and that's yield point control, which allows you to get back into hostile acquisition mode if you want.
Right, but also, as I said at the beginning, if you don't have those 3 yield points, you can't even use that second part. So
right, but you always at least have reroll wound rolls of 1, which is always useful.
And since it's the League's model only, you could put it on the strategist for the Steeljacks. So, or you could put it on a call, so lots of leaders that can actually give this to their units. So yeah, very versatile.
Second, Dead Reckoning. At the end of your turn, if the bear is on the battlefield and you spent no yield points in that turn, you can gain a yield point. That one might be an auto take.
I'm more on that one of, if you wanted to build a list that was just focused on getting to fortify, yes, you would want that. But otherwise, I'm like, yeah, I'm already going to be getting enough yield points probably. I don't know that I need this. So I'd say only if you're in a rush to get there.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, I did lie. One of these is not tied to a character, but it is tied to an equipment choice.
Okay, fair.
And that is the Iron Ambassador model equipped with an autarch pattern, a combi bolter only.
Which is 2 characters.
Which
the
is
Call and the Iron Hair Champion.
So, like your main combat-y characters.
Yep.
Okay. Once per battle, when the bear's unit is selected to shoot, the bearer can use this enhancement. If they do, spend up to 3 yield points, and until the end of the phase, add to the number of yield points you just spent to the damage characteristic of the bearer's ranged weapons.
So you'll go from damage 1 to maybe up to damage 4 for your pathetic number of shots and very little AP?
Yeah, totally not worth it.
Yeah,
totally not worth it. Not to put on a combi bolter. Sorry, no. And then the Ancestral Crest. Once per turn, when you target the bear's unit with the command reroll strat, you can use this enhancement. If you do, you can spend a yield point and reduce the points cost of the stratagem by 1. I can reroll once per turn for yield points rather than strategy points or command points.
I do like this one. And I lean towards this one more than Dead Reckoning, just for how my mind of how I'd play would work, because I use command points so much.
Yeah, that's fair. Giving you an alternate means to buy a command reroll and also give you yield point control, that is not bad. According to the book, Dead Reckoning is slightly cheaper at 10. Ancestral Crest is 15. I think there's an argument to be made for possibly taking both.
Yeah, I really like my reroll wound rolls.
I mean, you could still take the reroll wound rolls. Oathbound Speculator is definitely the most expensive at 30, as well it should be.
It should be. It's really good.
It's really good. Yeah, I think Iron Ambassador is the big loser here. I don't think you ever end up taking that one, but the others definitely can all have cases made for taking them. As far as your strats, you've got one that it worsens AP. It's basically their Armor of Contempt, but it only works if you're in Fortify Takeover mode.
And it still says until end of phase, so since it's slightly different, I don't know if this is going to be under the big thing of, no, it's still just that one attack, or if this is actually once per phase because it has the extra condition.
I believe Armor of Contempt is also until end of phase.
Oh, it is until, I thought they'd like fact it to change.
I'll
Okay.
Well, they're until end of a number of attacks.
Right.
End of that unit's attacks, right. So that's a balanced data slate thing across the board, so I could see that still applying here. So don't bank on...
Which means I don't like this as much then.
Yeah. We got Honor the Hold. When you select a unit to fight, when they fight, you can spend up to 3 yield points when you use the strat, which the strat itself only...
just spend 3.
Oh, it is spend 3. That's one thing you have to be careful on. Some of these say spend up to, some of them don't.
Yep.
So just be cognizant of that. So each time you use the stratagem, spend 3 yield points, select an enemy unit within engagement range, until the end of the phase, you improve your AP by 1 if you spent yield points. So you don't have to spend the yield points, but if you do, you improve the AP by 2. That's not bad.
I mean, this is an example of one of the things where, okay, so base cost is 1 CP, or an enhanced cost is 1 CP plus 3 YP, which... I got thinking, like, I wonder if this is going to have how they'll do, like, Miracle Dice enhancements in the future for Sisters, where Stratagem does this, but Stratagem plus Miracle Dice does this. I think they already started doing a little of that, but...
Yeah. And, I mean, it's a good mechanic. Having a second resource you can dip into to, like, hey, if you want to do this thing, but it's like, maybe I'm in Fortify and I want to stay in Fortify, and if I spend 3 yield points, I fall back into Hostile Acquisition. I like things that make you have to make choices like that. That's
that what you just said there kind of highlights what I was thinking about this army is this is a lot more tactical now. You have to make those decisions on the fly that will affect how you play, because you might switch which mode you're in based on your decisions, as opposed to just, oh yeah, things die, we kill better.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got Ordered Retreat, which gives you fall back and shoot and charge.
One of my favorites.
Always useful. Ancestral Sentence in your shooting phase, kind of like how Honor the Hold gives you better AP. Ancestral Sentence lets you spend 3 yield points if you want. If you don't, you get sustained hits 1. If you do, you get sustained hits 2. That could be really good. Like that, depending on what you use it on, that could be really nice. I'm thinking like Ironkin with the disintegrators.
I have other plans for them.
I mean, still though, giving them sustained hits 2 with like 6 attacks each.
I mean, that's true, but I've got a way to just give them base sustained hit 1s in the future. You'll see.
Okay. I'm probably not in this detachment, I'm guessing.
No, not in this one. This is not my preferred detachment.
You've got Hunter's Mark, which lets you reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1. That's pretty good. There's a lot of things that already give you rerolls to hit, so it's not as critical, but again, rerolling wound rolls is always good. And then Reactive Reprisal, if somebody shoots at one of your units, you can shoot back.
Yeah, this was always good.
If you're in Fortify Takeover. That's the thing. Like, you've got a couple strats here that only work once you're in defensive mode.
Hence, the whole detachment's supposed to get your yield points to get you there.
Right. Yeah. So you're trying to get yield points, which again makes those choices of, do I spend the yield points for those strats or for the enhancement? Makes that actually a tactical choice, which is good.
And this one's also 2 CP, but it needs to be for shooting out of turn.
All right, moving on. We've got the Persecution Prospect, which is your Hernkin detachment. I say that because you've got a couple strats here that target Hernkin, and also some of the other things that are affected kind of are Hernkin-esque.
But here's what I'll say. I know we've kind of hinted this is the Hernkin one, but It doesn't have to be. And that's what I like about this is if you like the tactics that go in, you lose out on 1 enhancement and 2 stratagem? Well, I guess 3. So you can still run this without Hernkin. Or I guess what I'm saying is you don't have to have all Hernkin. You can put some in there and then have it supported by other things. So this is still very flexible in what you can do with it.
All right, now your army rule, this one's a long one.
Yes.
It's a bit wordy. In your shooting so basically all the Votann units in your army, not just Hernkin, all Votann units gain this ability, Guerrilla Adepts. In your shooting phase, just after this unit is selected to shoot, you can use this ability. If it does, you select a non-monster or vehicle unit. Until the end of the phase, that unit can only target that enemy unit. So if you pick a unit of Hernkin Jaegers and let's say, oh, I've got the sniper rifle. Well, I can't split the sniper rifle to shoot somebody else. It's all got to be the same target. After resolving those attacks, if you hit the enemy until the start of your next shooting phase, that unit is assailed.
Yay.
It doesn't do anything by itself. It is just a label for the unit. However,
a marker light token. Yay.
Yes. However, if the unit has already been assailed, then they also become pinned. If they're pinned, they're -2 to move and -2 to charge. So if you double up with Guerrilla Adepts, you can pin them down.
Yeah, so you take a unit to fire a light to hit them, you take the other unit to hit them, and then they don't move as well.
Right.
Sounds very Towie to me.
It does sound very Towie, and you're also going to see like the enhancements kind of lean into that as well. Again, all of these are for all Leagues of Votann models, because there also is no Hernkin character, so it would be bad to try to limit these to Hernkin. And I think there's something else I think I want to point out about this army is there's a couple of units like the Hernkin and the Chthonians, and we'll see that in like the next detachment we will look at. They don't have characters for their type. So there's nothing that can join them, nothing that can natively buff them up.
And that might be why we saw some of the character things say unit within 12 inches as opposed to this unit.
Right. Yeah, I think it would have to. So your enhancements, Eye for Weakness. Each time a model in the bear's unit makes an attack that targets an assailed unit, add 1 to the wound roll. So again, I've tagged them. Now I'm +1 to wound.
Yeah, my only sad thing is I can't do this against monsters or vehicles, because that's where I'd really want that +1 to wound roll on.
Yeah. Writ of Acquisition. In your shooting phase, after the bear's unit has shot, you gain 1 yield point for each enemy unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks, up to a max of 3.
I mean, this is their way to try to get to fortify.
Yep. Surgical Saboteur. In your shooting phase, after the bear's unit has shot, select 1 monster or vehicle unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Until the start of your next shooting phase, that unit is pinned. We're just going to skip assailed and go right to pinned with it.
I actually like this one because my theory with this whole detachment is single out things and then kind of get it to where they don't move as well, or especially if they're like knights or monsters that want to be in melee. Let's reduce their movement and start moving backwards. Let's try and kite them.
Yep. And then finally, Nomad Strategist. And while this one cannot attach to a Hernkin, it is very Hernkin focused. Once per battle, at the end of your opponent's fight phase, if the bear is on the battlefield, you can use this enhancement. If you do, you can spend up to 4 yield points. That is an expensive spend, but select 1 Hernkin unit from your army, and for every 2 yield point you just spent, select up to 1 additional Hernkin unit from your army, so up to 3 if you spent all 4. You can remove those units from the battlefield and put them into strategic reserves as long as they're not in engagement range. Except if they're in engagement range of an assailed unit. If the unit's assailed, you can pull them out even in the middle of combat.
I mean, that's just useful maneuverability.
Right. And the fact that this is not a redeploy at the beginning of the game. It's in the middle of the game.
Yep. I mean, it's like kind of what the Pioneers have, except Pioneers could even get hit by it in the middle of the board.
Right. And it's Hernkin keyword, so that includes your Jaegers, your Pioneers, and your Capricus vehicles.
Redeploy the Magna Rail rifle on it.
Yep. Yeah, because the Capricus, they do have the Hernkin keyword, so they are good to go on that one. Your strats, Adaptable Avarice. start of any phase, if you're in Fortify Takeover, you can spend any number of yield points. And once you've done so, if you have 6 or fewer yield points until the start of your next turn, so rather than recalculate in your command phase, you can just burn yield points and immediately get back into hostile acquisition.
Yep. So, I mean, this is great for spending a CP, dropping into hostile, and then doing what you need to do. And then it's good, like, manipulation for yield points. This is like the best one you can have.
Right. Frontier Momentum, Auto Advance 6 for Hernkin. Useful. Just generally useful. You need, especially if you need movement. Exposed Flaws, again, this one affects Hernkin who are shooting. Until you use this, or each time you use the stratagem, you can spend 2 YP, not up to, just 2, until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack, if you spent yield points, and or if the target is assailed, you can re-roll the wound roll. So if you can assail somebody, you don't even have to spend the yield points. You can just... Re-rolling wounds, always good. And you've got enough stuff in here. Again, Hernkin units, that's those Magna Rail autocan. The Magna Rail guns, so you can re-roll wound rolls if you're worried that strength 14 isn't going to cut it. Ranger Tactics, select a Leagues of Votann unit hasn't been selected to shoot, or until the end of the phase, each time a model in the unit makes an attack, if they target an assailed unit, or if your unit is Hernkin, you can re-roll the hit roll. So, again, flexible.
Yeah, either Hernkin or assailed. Or
yeah. Claim Staker Reflex. Your opponent ends a normal advance or fallback move within 9 inches. Then you pick a League of Votann unit from your army, except for artillery or vehicles, that's within 9 inches. You can use the stratagem. You can spend 2 yield points. You can make a D6 normal move, or if you spent yield points, you can make a 6-inch move. And you can't embark in a transport as part.
I'm glad they put that restriction on there, because the Eldar kind of showed that, well, as long as it says a normal move lets you embark. So
yeah, said no, we're not allowing that here. And then Dispersed Formation, after an enemy unit has selected to shoot at one of your infantry or mounted units, which would be your pioneers or any of your infantry, you have cover.
Not just that, you also have stealth.
Oh, you get stealth and cover. Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
So yeah, stealth and cover.
It's your defensive one.
Yeah, it's your defensive one. This is a nice, flexible, and like you said, it definitely works better with Hernkin, but it is not required for Hernkin.
Yes.
But if you're playing Hernkin heavy, which I said is definitely a thing you could do, you could do a lot with this.
If I was running this one, I'd definitely have a lot of the Capricuses and probably the 3 squads of Pioneers. So yeah, I would lean heavily into the Hernkin for this.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We've got the Delve Assault Shift, although we added an accent over the E just because we're being fancy.
Oh, I thought this was called the Kevin Detachment.
The Kevin Detachment. Yeah, so very simple detachment rule. Cthonian Berserks get Deep Strike. Also, Cthonian Berserks are battle line.
Can you tell the theme here?
Yeah. And as you pointed out in your notes, this is an expensive build if you want 6 full squads of 10.
Oh my god. Well, and doubly so because Berserks have been not that great before.
Yeah.
And so I bet the people that were sitting on a bunch of Berserks, be thrilled. This detachment is amazing. If you weren't, because Berserks come in boxes of 5. And that they're, I think, currently $62.50. So that's what, $125 for a squad of 10. So yeah, this one's gonna be, if you weren't prepped for them, it's gonna be expensive to get it. Yes, yes.
Yeah. And also based on book points, we don't know if that'll carry over, but book points, that would be 1,200 points in your 60 Berserks.
Worth it?
They definitely would get some work done.
Yeah.
So, getting into our enhancements, and again, remember, Berserks don't have any characters that can join them. So all these are going to be based off of proximity or the existence of Chthonians or similar things. So you've got the Delvewerk Navigator. If in the reinforcements step of your movement phase, you can use this enhancement. If you do, select one friendly Cthonian Berserks unit visible to the bearer, spend any number of YP. then return 1 destroyed model to that unit, and then for every 2 yield points you just spent, return up to 1 additional model to the unit.
Yeah, just have to have line of sight. Every reinforcements phase, get a guy back.
If you've got the yield points to do it.
No. Any number.
Oh, you can spend 0, so you always get at least 1 back.
Yes. And then for every 2 more, you get more. It's like crazy.
The multi-wave system jammer, once per battle in the movement phase of the bears on the battlefield, you can use the enhancement. If you do, select a friendly Chthonian unit that is in reserves, which could be the artillery, but why would you? Until the end of the phase, for the purposes of setting up that unit, it's 1 round sooner.
AKA turn 1 deep striking berserks.
Yep.
Enough said, that's good.
Next, Quake Supervisor. While the bear is within 3 inches of 1 or more friendly Votann artillery units, there's one, and it's the Chthonian Earthshaker. The bear has lone op, and each time one of those artillery units makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit visible to the bearer, add 1 to the hit roll.
If you want to lean in on artillery, sure, but...
Here's the problem, though. It's +1 to the hit roll, which is the same as heavy.
Yeah.
Which it already has.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see a point in this one.
You know what? No. You know what it helps with? The bolt pistols.
Just don't take this one.
Don't take that one. I guess if you move the infantry, it can do the thing. It's still not good. It's not a good enhancement. So no, don't take Quake Supervisor. Not when you have much better options. And then Pile Driver, each time the bear's unit is selected to fight, now it's the bear's unit, so it will not be a Chthonian Berserk. The bear can use this enhancement. If they do, spend up to 2 yield point, and until the end of the phase, add the number of yield points you just spent to the damage characteristic of the bear's melee weapons. That could be good. That could
this really only goes on one person, and that's the Einhir Champion.
Einhir Champion with the Mass Hammer.
I mean, with this, the axe might be okay, but the Mass Hammer is what I'd probably do, because instead of D6 plus 1, it'd be D6 plus up to 2 and number of yield points you spent. So I guess it could go up to D6 plus 3. So it's also still not a ton of things, but he gets a few attacks. So yes, Pile Driver is just for you want to make him even a heavier hitter, and he's already a heavy hitter.
Yeah. All right, getting into our strats. You've got Cyber Stim Infusion. In the fight phase, select a Berserk unit from your army. Every time you use the stratagem, you can spend 2 yield points. Reroll wound rolls of 1. Unless you spent yield points, reroll the wound roll instead.
That's just good. I mean, Berserk's rerolling yield, and you want to spend the yield points to get down to stay in aggressive, and rerolling the wound rolls for them is solid.
Yeah. Unstoppable Force. Any Votann unit that hasn't been yet selected to fight, they get to consolidate 6 inches instead of 3. Solid.
Yeah.
Just solid. Augmented Assault. In your movement phase, choose a unit of Chthonian Berserks. You can spend up to 2 yield points until the end of the turn. Add X to their move characteristic, where X is the number of yield points you spent during the use of this stratagem, and the unit becomes available to advance and charge.
Yeah.
So get them up to 8 inches of movement if you have the yield points, which again helps you stay in hostile acquisition, and advance and charge. Oof.
Yeah. So you do this to one unit, deep strike the other unit in. I mean, you can threaten a lot with this.
Right. Tectonic Fracture. In your shooting phase, after a Chthonian Earthshaker unit has shot, each time you use the stratagem, you can spend 2 yield points, select an enemy unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Until the shooting phase, they are -2 to move, and if you spent the 2 yield points, they are also -2 to charge.
Yay.
I mean, it's not
It has a
bad.
purpose, just you're not going to use it much.
No. You're already possibly forcing battle shock tests, because again, I don't think you take anything other than the tremor shells generally. The Earthshakers are the weakest part of this particular theme. Weave Werk Buttress. Use in your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets if you're in hostile acquisition, which you have ways to stay in, as we have talked about. You choose an infantry unit in your army that is one of the targets to be shot at. They are -1 to be wounded. That is just solid.
Yep.
And we already determined that they're hard to wound at T6. This is just going to make them harder. But the fact that you're not limited to the Chthonians, you can do this on any of your infantry.
And the fact that it's not limited to if it's above your toughness.
Right. It's just straight up -1 to be wounded. And then hidden access ways. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, select a unit of Berserks, Hearthkin Warriors, or Hernkin Jaegers from your army and put them back that aren't in engagement range and put them back into reserves. Which you generally will want with the Berserks because of the deep strike, but being able to pull anything out and reposition is still very useful.
It is, but the Berserks are just like the best because of deep strike.
Yeah, no. This is a really solid attachment if you want to lean into Berserks.
Yeah. I think this is one of the better detachments of the 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's very solid. And, even, again, like, most of the strats lean into that, but they don't all. Some of them are useful enough outside of it. Because you really only have 2 that specify they only work with Cthonian Berserks. So you still have strat access. Your army rule still gives you, decent benefits. Yeah, you could play this. I mean, you definitely want to have at least 3 units of Berserks to really make this work, and I would say more if you can get them, but...
I would say 4, in that you'd want at least 30. You'd probably want at least 2 squads of 10 and 2 squads of 5 at the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, still very, very solid attachment. Next up, we've got the Brandfast Oath Band, which is your transport detachment. In fact, the detachment rule is just for your transports and says, while a League of Votann infantry is wholly within 6 inches of this transport, ranged weapons equipped by models in that infantry unit have sustained hits 1.
Yay!
It's not bad.
What? Land Fortress is a transport.
It is.
All those 6-shot Vulcanite heavy things from the Steeljack Ironkin suddenly have sustained hit 1 just by being next to a Land Fortress.
It's also gigantic, which gives you a nice big bubble of 6 inches.
So yeah, this is the detachment I would probably lean into because I've already got a bunch of Land Fortresses and Sagittars, and now throw in the Jaeger one. There's tons of transports for me to use with this.
Now, this is the first one where this starts to limit your enhancements to particular models, not just based off of war gear. So we've got Tactical Alchemy, call only. In your command phase, if the bear's unit is within range of 1 or more objective markers that you control that are not within your deployment zone, so they are either your opponent's or in no man's land, you can spend a yield point. If you do, roll a d6 on a 4-up, gain a command point. So many steps to maybe do something
like this. If this was spend a yield point to get a command point, I'd be like, okay, I can see that trade because you already have to get the call onto an objective in the middle of but the fact that you only get a 50-50 shot,
no, it's going to frustrate you more. Like,
oh yeah. Or if it was and don't spend a yield point, just have a 50-50 shot for command point, I'm okay with that. Or spend a yield point for command point, I'm okay with that. But
not
having
both.
to spend not both.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Or even if it was spend a yield point, or like you can spend a yield point. If you don't, you roll. If you do, you automatically get it. That would be that. Yeah,
that would be the best of both worlds.
Yeah, but no, we didn't get that. All right, the Trivarg Cyber Implant. This is for any League of Votann character. In your shooting phase, each time the bear's unit is selected to shoot, if it disembarked from a transport this turn, or if you spend 2 yield points, models in the unit have sustained hits 2.
I could put that on a strategist, and guess what? I know you're talking about sustained hit 2 on the first attachment. Here's how I'm going to get it for this one.
Fair enough.
Told you there was a way.
Yeah. You've got Precursive Judgment, again, call only. While the bear's unit is wholly within 6 inches of 1 or more Votann transport units, you can target the bear's unit with Fire Overwatch for free and hit on 5s.
I like this one, but the fact that I'd lean towards having Steeljacks that if I'm in Fortify, or can normally do 5s normally, or 4s in Fortify with the strategist for 0, and this is overkill.
Yeah.
If one of them said you could do both, then I'm like, okay, I'll try and do both. But since they don't, no, I'm doing non-enhancement one.
Well, and I will say calls with warriors wouldn't, like, that gives you another unit that can kind of do it, so it's not terrible, because you still are only limited to 3 units of the Ironkin Steeljacks, so this gives you another unit that could do it. But yeah, it's not a strong argument, but it is like, I can kind of see it. And then signature restoration for Iron Master only. Every time a friendly League of Votann model is repaired, they regain an additional lost wound. So
I heal 4 instead of 3, and that can make a difference.
Yep. Yeah, no, that one's not bad. And if you're going with this kind of... and again, as you said, you put the Iron Master and the Strategist and the unit of 6 Steeljacks in a transport, and they're all running around together, which means he can also fix the transport if he's close enough.
Well, yeah, that would be the main thing he's there for.
Yeah. Your strats, you've got secure positions. If you're in hostile acquisition at the end of any phase, you select a transport, a unit embarked on it can disembark, and they can be set up wholly within 6 inches of the transport.
Note that says any phase.
Yes.
So an opponent phase. I mean, oh yeah, your opponent's command phase, I'll just pop them out. Why? I have no clue. Or probably better at the end of the movement phase or shooting phase. It's just very nice. It gives you the flexibility. Also, if someone wants to assault your vehicle, like right before the charge, I guess it's moved.
Well, charge phase. Right. Yeah, charge phase would be before fight phase. So
it would be at the end of the shoot phase, pop people out so they can't charge your vehicle. They'd have to charge these guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, lots of little things you could do based on the situation. So I love that stratagem.
Bastion running. In your movement phase, select 1 Hecaton land fortress that hasn't moved yet. They can Kool-Aid Man through terrain.
That's amazing.
that just leans into the other things you would want to do anyway.
Yeah.
Illuminated priority in your shooting phase, just after one of your vehicles has shot, you select a enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. Everybody that targets that attack rerolls hit rolls of 1. Isn't that what the Hecaton Land Fortress used to do? Kind of.
Kind of. They were, you had to
disembark
get out of the
from the vehicle.
Well, this just is, I hit this. Okay, everyone else, you can reroll now.
Yeah, that's still good.
Oh, it's still amazing. I'm not complaining. And disembarking is not as good, but this version, no, I like this.
And also, it's any vehicle, and like all your vehicles have multiple weapons. So, yeah, so lots of flexibility there. In inexorable efficiency in your shooting phase, select a Votann unit from your army. They can shoot and fall after falling back. Very good. Opportunistic escalation in your opponent's shooting phase. If you're in hostile acquisition, they shoot at one of your vehicles. Unless it's a Hecaton land fortress, you can make a move of up to D6 inches if they hit you.
That just makes me sad. But I like it overall, except that it can't target the land fortress.
I mean, that's fair. Come on. You got to admit that's kind of fair. And then Vengeance Flare in your opponent's shooting phase just after they shot at one of your vehicles, and this one does not limit you to Hecaton land fortresses.
No, they shoot at your infantry.
Yeah. Or no, sorry. So in your shooting phase just after they shoot at one of your infantry units.
Yes.
Okay, so every time you select this, use the stratagem, you can spend 2 yield points. You select a Capricus or Sagittar within 6 inches of the infantry unit, or the Hecaton if you spent the 2 yield points. They can shoot back, and it has to be within 6 inches of the infantry unit that was shot and hit. That unit can shoot at the thing that shot your infantry.
Yeah, so the infantry gets sustained hits by being close to the vehicle, but with this stratagem, if someone shoots those infantry, that vehicle gets to shoot back. So if it just happens to be standing next to a land fortress, if I spend the 2 CP plus the 2 YP, the land fortress can fire back.
That's a really expensive fireback, though, especially...
It's a very expensive, but it could be worth it because the land fortress can dish out a ton.
That is true. That is true.
So, I mean, I'm okay with as expensive as this is because the results it could yield. And normal reprisal attacks are 2 CP. So 2 CP with 2 YP on top, that's fine. Because, I mean, some of the other things we saw earlier in detachments were 1 CP and 3 YP. So...
Now, do note, the infantry unit has to survive, because it doesn't say, like, you can target this even though the unit's been destroyed.
Right.
So they can't wipe the infantry unit and then you fire back. So
I don't know that people are going to kill my squad of 6 Steeljacks in one firing.
That's fair.
So shoot my Steeljacks. My land force is coming after you.
Fair. That is fair. But like, if somebody is going to use those, like, I'm using it with like a group of Hearthkin warriors that got out. Oh,
they're going to die. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, just be aware of that. That like, you won't have to worry about it because that's not how you're using it.
No.
But yeah, no, this is a solid transport detachment. This is one of the better really transport detachments I've seen, and so no, this one's really good for them.
This and the Delve Assault are probably my 2 favorites from these 5.
And then finally, the Hearthfire Arsenal, which is your Ironkin Steeljack and Broker Thunderkin detachment, really. At the end of your command phase, you gain a yield point for each objective marker you control that is not within your deployment zone and has 1 or more Iron Masters and or Memnir Strategist from models from your army within range of it, to a maximum of 2 yield points gained from this detachment rule per turn. So there's a lot of extra pieces that you have to get those yield points, but you can get up to 2 free yield points a turn.
Yeah, it's kind of telling you what you're going to lean into here, which is going to be the Iron Masters and Strategists.
Right. But I'm not done, because there's a second part. In your shooting phase, each time a Broker, so Iron Master or Thunderkin, Ironkin Steeljacks or Arcanist Evaluator unit from your army is selected to shoot, you can spend a yield point. If you do, until the end of the phase, every time they make an attack, they can reroll hit rolls of 1.
Guess who has like 6 shots at 12 inches that is kind of hazardous and overcharging? Rerolling 1 might be good there.
Just to make sure you get the most out of him before he blows himself up.
Exactly.
All right. Your enhancements, the Farstrider node, which is spelled so extra because we are fancy space dwarves. The Iron Master or Memnir Strategist model only. All of these are going to be some combination of those two, but it makes sense for what the detachment does and who it's focusing on. Models in the Bears unit have Deep Strike.
Yeah, solid.
Very solid. I
mean, drop in your melee Steelkin with this. You could even have Deep Striking Thunderkin pop down and just unload a barrage of shots, or even the Heavy Volkite from the non-melee.
Yeah.
Steeljacks. So that's just good. Yeah. Period.
Calculated Tenacity, also Iron Master and Memnir Strategist. While the Bears leading unit, they are +1 OC.
I like this just because you're going to want either one can be on the points, but Thunderkin or the Steeljacks with the heavy weapons on a point, now they're going to hold it more. So I'm good with this one too.
Yep. Mantle of Elders, this one is only for the Memnir Strategist. Each time the Bears unit is selected to shoot, if you spend yield points using the optimal application detachment rule, which is the detachment rule for this detachment. So if you spend the yield points to reroll hit rolls of 1, roll a d6 on a 2-up, you gain a yield point.
Yeah,
so you can
also
do it
fine.
For free. Yeah, theoretically do it for free.
I'm so far happy with all 3 of these. Can we go 4 for 4?
And then the Graviton Vault, Iron Master only. In your shooting phase after the bearer has shot, and in the fight phase after the bearer has fought, select one enemy monster or vehicle unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Now, that's the bearer shooting, not their unit. Until the start of your next turn, the enemy unit is suppressed. That means they're -1 to hit.
That's still good.
Let's see. The Iron Master has decent weaponry, but terrible range.
Oh, no, yeah. He's what, 18 inches or 12?
18 with the Graviton
18's
rifle.
Fine. And then his hammer is really nice in melee too, so.
Yeah. So if he gets, it's kind of a
probably the weakest of the 4, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's just the one. Yeah, definitely the weakest, but not nearly as bad as the the Earthshaker artillery enhancement. So your strats: unwavering accuracy. When one of your Broker Thunderkin shoot, you ignore any or all penalties to ballistic skill, hit roll, wound roll, or AP. They can't reduce the AP.
I mean, if it was 1 CP, I'd be like, wow, this is awesome. At 2 CP, I would really need things to stick for me to want to do this one.
Here's the thing, though. I understand, like, 2 CP is a big ask, but how many armies are we now seeing with rules where it's like, hey, if the strength of the weapon is higher than your toughness, you're -1 to be wounded. This ignores that.
True, but I guess where I'm getting at is 2 CPs a lot. So I'd have to be trying to finish something off with this rather than just putting out first rounds of fire.
Oh, I agree. This is not something you do not throw this around willy-nilly. This is something you use when you absolutely like have to finish something off.
Right.
Or if you've just got a hard nut that you are just like, you absolutely have to get wounds on this thing to soften them up for something else. Like, this is a sometimes food, but it is a very powerful stratagem. First concern: in your shooting phase, just after a broker unit, an Ironkin Steeljack unit, or an Arcanist Evaluator unit has shot, if they remain stationary in their movement phase, they can make a normal move. So you can basically reverse the order of operations.
Yeah, so that way your heavy stuff can be... Or I guess if you were in range of rapid fire, then you can move out of it to try and get away so you don't get assaulted.
I mean, I suppose that's a good one for that Arcanist Evaluator.
Yeah.
Otherwise...
But then again, even if you're only moving 6 or 5 inches away, people can probably still move 6 inches and still charge you, so... It'd be a long charge, but...
Yeah. It's got its uses. It's not the best one. It's tricky to use. It's tricky to find units that really benefit from it. The best thing is you can kind of do a jump, shoot, jump, but without the initial jump.
Yeah, and because I was thinking, I don't remember if these guys have heavy on anything, really.
Yeah, the Broker Thunderkin don't. The
Steeljacks don't. The Evaluator
Steeljacks don't. Yeah.
So that was my first thought, is if this was heavy, okay, I get around heavy, but...
Nah, I don't think there's much use for this one, honestly.
Other than rapid fire or, like you said, shooting and then moving into cover. But you'd already have to be in position.
I guess there's one case where I could see it being kind of useful. Broker Thunderkin with the conversion beamer, where they want to stay outside 12 to wound on 4s and then be able to move up closer. Like, that's one. It's not a great case. I'm just saying that's
I don't think they'd want to move closer, though.
No, generally they would not, but...
So we're not sold on this one, but the next one I am sold on. I like it.
So delayed fire rounds. Again, this is after one of your Broker, Steeljack, or Evaluator units is shot. You select an enemy unit hit by one of those attacks. Until the start of your next shooting phase, every time they make a normal advance or fallback move, you roll a d6 for each model in the unit. For each one, they suffer a mortal wound to a max of 6 mortal wounds. That one's interesting. It's not likely to get you a lot.
No, but it puts a small deterrent on people, and sometimes that psychological game plays into effect. Like, if I move this unit now, I might take mortals.
Right. So, like, that's one of those things, like, I didn't quite finish a unit off, but you do it after you shot, so you know if it... Yeah, so you know it's like, yeah, this unit has, like, 2 guys left in it. They might die if they move. So...
Yep.
Wall of Steel. In your charge phase, just after one of your Ironkin Steeljack's unit has charged, you can spend 2 yield points. You select an enemy unit, except for a monster or vehicle within engagement range. Roll a d6 for each model in the unit, rolling 2 additional d6 if you spent yield points during the use of the stratagem. For each 4-up, they take mortal wounds, so you Hammer of Wrath into them.
Yeah.
You get 2 more chances to do it if you spent the yield points. I honestly don't think you spend the yield points unless... I mean, you're going to want to charge them with a unit of 6 generally. If you're using smaller units, maybe then, but...
But you're not going to get all 6 to stick with just 6, so...
No.
spending the yield points would give you 2 extra chances to maybe get 4.
Right. I mean, you're doing them on 4 up, which is not bad, but like if you're playing Steeljacks with the melee weapons, this could be nice. But
oh yeah, that's the only one I'd use it with. Yes.
Yeah, like that's yes, yeah. It's okay. It's not bad. It's okay. Preventative Purge. In your opponent's movement phase, just after they fall back, you select a Thunderkin or Ironkin Steeljack. You can shoot as if it's the shooting phase, and you're -1 to hit. But again, depending on what turn you're on, or like what mode you're on, you can probably kind of counteract that a little bit.
And they don't have to fall back from your Thunderkin or Steeljack unit. It's just they have to be close enough in range to shoot them. So I like this one. Like, oh, you're falling back? Okay, my Thunderkin are now firing.
Right. And then finally, Cogitated Need. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, you select an Ironkin Steeljack's unit. They can make a normal move, but you must end as close as possible to the nearest objective marker, which is a thing you want to do in this army anyway.
Yeah, no issues with this one either.
Yeah,
this is the one I want to try out.
I would say, especially like that last one, if you're in Fortify or you know you're going to be in Fortify on your next turn.
Yeah,
like this is a good one to have. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think for the way you're wanting to play, the Brandfast Oathband is definitely
it is, because I'm already been playing this as a vehicle heavy army, so the Brandfast just leans into that. But I definitely want to try out the Hearthfire Arsenal because I think it sounds fun and different. The Berserk one, I would love to play and try out, but I don't have the models for, so that's probably going to get shelved. And then the Persecution Prospect, I wouldn't mind trying it, but it's probably on the lower side for me. And then the basic one is, well, it's basic. So I think I'm going to lean towards more of the vehicle and Steeljack ones and see how those two go for me personally.
Yeah. The other problem with like the Persecution Prospect is that you want to take Hernkin Jaegers, and they're $65 a box as kill teams. So you're paying the kill team premium for all the tokens and everything.
They don't have battle line, right?
Hernkin are not Jaegers are not battle line, so you're still
see, I'm fine. I've got 2 squads. I just have to buy 1 if I ever wanted to lean in. But I think 2 squads will be plenty, because the way I was talking about it, get 2 of the vehicles or the transports, and then I've got 4 squads of 5. So that's plenty.
And again, your pioneers also lean into that too. So you've got plenty of stuff for that.
My problem with the pioneers is I still have like 6 of them to put together to have 3 squads of 6. So it would be a lot of building, and I don't feel like building those until I feel like drilling more holes to get them to pin on there, because like you said, the new vehicles having that big post of stability is so much nicer than, I mean, the pioneers look cool, but the fact that it's just a tiny little connection point to get them to look at these different angles. Yeah, they needed to have like an invisible, like a clear bar to help hold them in place or something to. Yeah.
At least they've learned from their design errors.
Yes. Yes. Pioneers love the models, dislike how they break off the bases. I like the rules. I like that they got more range. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind trying out the Hernkin detachment, but it'll probably be on the lower side of just when I want to try something else out.
And we don't want to get too far into it because it is getting late, but we've already kind of given our initial opinion of how the Grotmas detachment fares with this, and it's not well.
No, it might as well not exist.
Yeah, fair. Especially because the units pretty much do what the detachment already was letting you do. So
right. And then, like we said, points will probably change when they, like a week after the codex drops. But the biggest changes, it looks like right now, the Champion and Ironmaster both went up in points, which that's fine. They got new abilities. Cool. Sagittar dropped. Pioneers dropped. That's fine. They lost some stuff. Actually, Pioneers probably just needed to drop. Sagittar lost some stuff, so drops would be good. Thunderkin went up. Okay, they got, I guess, a little better. Hearthguard dropped a lot, but like I said earlier, I don't think that's enough to cover all the stuff they lost. So we'll see what happens when things come out and how it plays out point-wise.
Yeah, I think they just serve a different role than they did before. What that role is, we're still not entirely sure.
Yeah, because
a slightly more resilient infantry, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, if I needed to protect a HQ, they'd be good, but they only protect champs or calls. So the best thing I can think of is extra wounds for a champ. But even then, at like 270 points, that's too much.
Yeah, that is for 10. If you
135 is still a lot.
135 is a lot. Where I could actually see Hearthguard kind of fitting in at that point level is having a couple of units, probably with champs, just for the extra punch, to have some like deep strikeable shenanigans to throw in.
But I could still do that with Berserks and the Berserk detachment, or with the enhancement in the 5th detachment.
Yeah, but if you're not running those detachments, like if you run the Need Guard.
Fair. Okay. Need Guard, I'll grant you that one.
Yeah, if you're playing like kind of like the general all-comers, like, because if I'm not leaning into Berserks, because let's say because like you, I don't have not that I play Votann, but it's like if I was a Votann player and I just didn't have the models for the Berserks.
Yeah.
Maybe but I have Einhir Hearthguard from my previous collection. I play Need Guard and I deep strike in small groups just to disrupt the enemy. I can there's a place for them. They're just I don't think they're not the heavy hitting core of a detachment the way they could have been.
No, and they used to be the do everything a unit. And now that they've added more units, well, they didn't need a do everything unit. I just think for how they toned them down, the points need to be toned down even more to make me even think I want to add them. So we'll see what they come up with.
Yeah, and we'll see what the final points are. Again, we don't trust the book. When the book has a QR code that says "Don't trust these points," we don't trust the points in the book. So I think the biggest question I have is, as a League of Votann player, how do you feel about this book?
Excited. This is going to be a new beginning. I don't think they're going to play as simple as they did before because of the whole acquisition and fortify. That's going to make you have this added layer of think to things, as opposed to, like I said a few times, of, oh, you got a grudge, I'm better against that. So I think there's going to be a lot more strategy involved, and I still have a little bit of concerns for any games that don't have objective markers, because the whole big thing of this army is objectives. So we'll see how that plays out. But all in all, I like the new models that hit. I like the new rules those models have. I like the fact that as a whole, the army changed to be something really interesting to kind of accommodate how to play. So we're not just go smash anymore. Now we're, okay, do we need to acquire this objective for this? How am I going to spend the stratagems? And so I see more tactics coming into play for this army, which hopefully will entice others that are looking for more thought-provoking battles rather than just, I have big guy. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Yeah, it just sounds like it's going to play... there's more to juggle. There's a little bit more bookkeeping, because you've got to keep that point tally constant.
That's not that hard.
That's not that hard.
I'm already tracking command points. Here's the second one. That's
you're tracking command points, and you were tracking, having to keep track of who had judgment tokens and how many. So technically, it's one thing to track instead of a whole bunch of little things to track. So
yeah.
So yeah, no, it sounds good. I think, it sounds like Votann players are going to be excited about, like you are. I think this is good, and again, I like seeing detachments that really encourage you to build and play differently. So that's always good to see.
And I think they will be. I think the biggest thing is just getting over the shock of grudge tokens being gone, because that was the identity since they were kind of created. So once I think players get past that judgment tokens are gone, I think people will embrace this new system. And yes, I agree that I like that all 5 of the detachments feel usable. Mm-hmm. So that's a thumbs up.
Yeah, I think this is a well-constructed book. All right, well, it is getting late, and that is our look at the Leagues of Votann codex. Again, this should be up for pre-order as when this episode drops. So if you are a Votann player, we would love to hear from you and find out what you think. And again, if you want to join us in our community, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/preferred enemies. We would love to have you there and hear from you. But yeah, that wraps up the episode. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with hopefully not another codex review. Because the last couple of episodes have just been codex. And before that, it was book review, because before that, we had codex. So hopefully we're going to take a little bit of a break from codex releases. So I don't know what we'll be talking about in a couple of weeks, but we will should hopefully have Kevin and Richard back from Gen Con. So maybe hear about what they did there, and we'll have something to talk about. But until then, from all of us here at Preferred Enemies, or I guess both of us here at Preferred Enemies today, I'm your host, Rob.
Dennis.
Good night, good gaming, and for an episode that we thought was going to come up short, this one is run long.
Yay.